So in September, we got some great news. My son Sam and his wife Casey told us that they were expecting. I'd like to introduce you to my daughter-in-law Casey. So Casey, tell us, how far along are you now?
I'm 13 weeks.
That's awesome. And how are you feeling?
Good. Tired, but good.
Good. So was this a surprise for you guys?
It wasn't a surprise. We knew that it would be coming, just not when.
Okay. So tell us about when you and Sam first started talking about getting pregnant.
We had talked about having kids for quite a while, but we knew we wanted to finish school first, so it was kind of on the back burner. But in May, we heard our pastor give a sermon about, it was actually on Mother's Day, so it was about being a mom and all of the blessings that come along with that, and something in my heart just made me feel like I was ready. I don't know, I guess kind of like love at first sight. You just know when you're supposed to have children. And so we started praying about it for a while and decided that that's something that we should do.
Very good. Nice to hear that. Was it important to both of you to wait until after marriage to become parents?
Yes, absolutely. For many reasons, we believe that that's the way that God designed it. But we also believe that it's important for a child to have a mother and a father. And there's a role in this child's life that I can fulfill, but Sam can't fulfill, and vice versa. And so the baby will need both of us to be there for it and to raise it. And we need each other to be parents together. So being a single parent, I don't know, but I would imagine would be very difficult.
Yeah, oh yeah, very hard. So both of you have finished your college education.
Yes, Sam graduated May 2010 and I graduated May of this year.
Okay, just a few months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when did you first start trying? So you said in May you were thinking about it already, and you graduated. I think you said you graduated the day before you heard that sermon.
Yes, the day before we heard that sermon. And so then we had gone to school in Oregon, so we moved back home. And that week that we moved back home, I went into the doctor just for my yearly checkup. And we had kind of, like I said, been thinking about it, but I didn't actually go off the pill until June. And then it took us a couple of months before we conceived. Yeah.
Okay. So when did you first suspect that you were pregnant?
I guess I was probably 3.5 weeks before I kind of started wondering if it was a possibility, maybe.
Okay. Did you do an in-home pregnancy test?
I did. We waited until I was 4 or 4.5 weeks, just going by what the box said to make sure it was as accurate as possible. And it read positive. And then we actually waited another week and took a second one, which apparently is not necessary because when we told the nurse that, she laughed at us. But I had had several friends tell me that they took 2 or 3, so we just did it for good measure, I guess.
Just to be extra sure.
Yeah.
Did you then follow up with the doctor's visit, and was it soon after you?
Yeah, I called, so we found out on a Saturday, and I called on Monday and told the doctor's office, and they scheduled my intake appointment with the nurse for 7 weeks, and then my first doctor's appointment for 8 weeks.
Okay, so tell us what an intake appointment is.
So that appointment was basically just sitting down with the nurse and going over family medical history, asking questions about both sides of our family and us as individuals, and making sure that I wasn't taking any medications that I needed to get off of.
Did any concerns arise during that interview with the nurse about family medical history?
The only thing that was really brought up is that Sam has a second cousin that was just born a few months ago with Down syndrome. And so the nurse said that a second cousin is a pretty far reach, but you still have to write it in your chart. So.
Okay, so they did make note of it.
Yes, they did.
Okay. Now, I know that you had a little scare kind of at the very beginning, even before we knew that you were pregnant, so tell us a little bit about that.
I had been having some cramping, and we knew that we were pregnant already, but we hadn't told anybody. The doctor knew, and so I had read somewhere online that if you have any cramping, you should tell your doctor immediately, so we did. Well, maybe not immediately. We waited a few days kind of hoping it would just go away by itself, but it didn't. So we told the doctor, and they were concerned about a two-ol pregnancy. And so I had an ultrasound, 2 ultrasounds actually, internal and external, at 5 weeks. And then I had two follow-up ultrasounds at 7.5 weeks just to make sure that the egg actually implanted itself in the uterus instead of the fallopian tubes.
Okay. I found it very interesting when you were telling about the internal ultrasound. I had never heard of that before. Tell us just very quickly what kinds of things they could see on there.
So with the internal one, they can actually read the blood flow of your ovaries. They can see the cysts that especially younger women have on their ovaries, which helps you get pregnant. And they could see the baby's heartbeat was a little bit clearer, the one at 7.5 weeks.
Okay.
And then they can take measurements and stuff again like they can do on the external.
Okay. So now that you're a few weeks into this, what kinds of changes have you noticed? What sort of things are you experiencing?
Definitely feeling tired a lot, all the time, and bloating is definitely a huge symptom,
Yeah.
even though my weight hasn't really changed since becoming pregnant, and visiting the restroom an awful lot. It has slowed down now,
Yay.
but from like weeks 5 to 11,
Yeah, just wait
Was
until your baby's
pretty
big and
frequent.
huge, and
Yeah.
then you'll be going to the bathroom a lot.
all the time again, I'm sure. Yes.
How about morning sickness, the big one?
I did have a little bit of mostly nausea, maybe for 2 weeks. It didn't last very long, and I didn't really have much vomiting. I maybe vomited 2 or 3 days with it. And as long as I would eat something, then I would feel better, which I know is not always the case, but that's
Yeah,
how it was
it
for me.
sometimes can help. How about emotionally? Have you felt extra emotional, or do you feel pretty even keeled yet?
I feel pretty emotional. I try really hard for the sake of Sam to keep my emotions into check, but I have noticed I get maybe not, well, a little teary-eyed sometimes at things that normally wouldn't bother me, but even more
Hallmark
so
commercials.
upset. Yeah, yes. Anything, sentimental gets me,
Uh-huh.
and feeling angry about things that you would think that's just silly.
Yeah, I think that's pretty typical. So what kind of prenatal care has your doctor recommended for you now?
I take prenatal vitamins once a day, and they have everything under the sun in them, but she said the most important things are the calcium and the folic acid. And then on top of that, I don't get enough calcium in just that, so I need to be drinking a lot of milk and eating yogurts and cheeses. And then if I don't get enough calcium with that still, I'm supposed to chew Tums before I go to bed every night.
Yummy.
Yeah, delicious.
Has your doctor kind of given you a schedule of checkups that you're going to be following? What have they told you to expect?
So for now, I go in once a month, and I will do that until mid-March, which is when I hit eight months.
Okay.
And then I'll go in twice a month for that month, and then in the very last month, I'll go in once a week until the day that the baby comes.
Yeah, yep, probably. And has the doctor kind of given you any idea what to expect as far as more changes that are to come?
Yeah, she has given me a kind of an idea of what to expect on weight gain, how much I should gain in each trimester so that I can balance my diet and make sure I'm not overeating, but I'm getting enough extra calories. And she's told me kind of what to expect with the energy. It's supposed to bounce back starting here within the next couple weeks, and then I'll get tired again towards the end.
Yeah.
And some of those, and then dietary things, just to keep in mind, things that might give you heartburn that before you wouldn't have thought of, or things to stay away from too.
Right. So it sounds like you have a lot of changes coming your way in the next few months. So what's been the most exciting thing so far?
When I was 9 weeks, we were actually able to hear the baby's heartbeat through a Doppler machine, which is something that's done externally.
Okay.
And we were pretty privileged in that because the doctor told us that they expect to hear it by 12, sometimes can hear it by 10, but almost never hear it at 9 unless your uterus is in the absolute perfect position. So we were really excited to be able to hear
Was
it.
Sam there with you too?
Yes.
Yay.
And I think he started crying a little bit.
Oh.
So sweet.
Well, Casey, I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us your story, and just can't wait to be a grandma.
Yay.
Thank you.